For 2 years, I poured every cent into a dream to gift my father a brand new car for his 50th birthday. But everything shifted when I overheard him tell my mother he wished I'd never been born. That night, I left. A week later, he came crawling back. I was 23, still living in their house, chasing approval from two people who likely never wanted me there. David and Karen. I used to call them Dad and Mom, but that stopped the moment their words cut through me. Something broke inside me that night. Whatever respect I held for them dissolved. And when respect vanishes, so do the titles. You don't call someone dad after they say they regret your existence. For 2 years, I worked relentlessly, days at a warehouse, nights on freelance graphic design, barely sleeping, all to save up. Every spare dollar went into a hidden account. I had a vision. David's 50th was nearing, and I planned to surprise him with a sleek, new convertible. The kind he'd always stared at on the highway. I pictured his face when I handed him the keys. That image fueled me. I thought maybe this would be the moment he'd see me as more than a burden. The only person I told was my grandfather, Thomas. A retired auto technician, Thomas was the family's anchor. He'd warned me more than once that David was a schemer, always playing the victim to skate through life. He's never worked for anything, Thomas would say. And he resents anyone who shows him up, especially you. Years back, Thomas revealed the family inheritance would pass to me, not his son. I never wanted it, never cared. But David must have known. It explained so much. He never laid a hand on me, but his words were sharp enough to wound. Every exchange was a battle, and Karen always took his side. If David belittled me, she'd call me too emotional. If I defended myself, she'd say I was causing trouble. It felt like they viewed me as a problem they couldn't escape. Still, I kept saving. I loved my room, the band posters, the worn-out guitar, the tiny window facing the street. It was my haven, even if the rest of the house felt like a cage. I rarely invited friends over, rarely went out. I was driven, so close to my goal. The dealership had the car on hold. All I needed was to walk in and pay. Then, one sleepless night, everything collapsed. I was flipping through channels when, around 1 a.m., I went to grab a drink. Passing their room, I heard my name. Their door was cracked open. Karen was saying she didn't get why I worked so much. David snorted. Because he thinks he's above us. Then he said it. I wish that idiot was never born. No pause, no regret. And Karen didn't even react, she laughed. Well, Thomas always did prefer him. I stood there, numb, not furious, just finished. There's a moment when disappointment stops hurting and just confirms what you've always suspected. I went back to my room, packed a duffel, grabbed my laptop, my savings, and the printed photo of the car I'd been saving for. By dawn, I was at Thomas's doorstep. He opened the door, looked at me, and said, so, he finally showed his true face. I moved in that day. Thomas didn't pry. He just pointed to the spare room and said, you're home now. A week later, David texted me. The first message in over a year that wasn't a jab. Still getting that birthday present? That's when I knew Thomas had told him about the car. Now David wanted it. I didn't respond, just stared at my phone, sipping burnt coffee at Thomas's kitchen table. He walked in, saw my expression, and knew. He texted you. I nodded. Wants to know if he's still getting the car. Thomas shook his head. He didn't want you, but he'll take the gift. I laughed, but it wasn't amusing. Later, the landline rang. Thomas answered, and I knew it was David. No, David. He's not coming back. You made sure of that. His tone was steady. I could only hear Thomas's side, but David wasn't letting go. What present? Oh, the car you don't deserve? The one he nearly killed himself working for while you badmouthed him? A pause. Then Thomas did something surprising. He laughed. Cold. Cutting. You can't play him like you do everyone else, David. You're owed nothing. Thomas glanced at me. Want the car? Come ask him yourself. Then he hung up. He'll show up soon, Thomas said. Prepare yourself. I didn't reply. Just went in my room and stared at the car's photo again. The thought of David coming to beg for it felt absurd. He'd never asked me for anything, only demanded. Around 4 p.m., a car pulled up. Not his, Karen's. I watched from the window as David stepped out, in a creased button-up, like he was trying to impress someone. Karen stayed in the car. Typical. He rang the bell. Thomas didn't budge. You want to deal with him? I did. David stood there, forcing a calm demeanor, like a man choking on his own ego. We locked eyes. Then he cleared his throat. Heard you were planning something for my birthday. He grinned like we were buddies. I didn't speak, just turned and walked inside. He followed, glancing around like the house insulted him. Thomas sat in his armchair, arms folded. Go on, David. Ask him. David stiffened but pushed through. I just heard you were getting a car. Thought maybe, despite everything, you'd still want to give it to me. I raised an eyebrow. Despite everything? Like when you told Karen you wished I didn't exist. He blinked. No answer. The silence spoke volumes. I was going to give you the car. I said. It was reserved. All you had to do was not betray me. You can't take back a gift, he said, his voice cracking with desperation. It's not yours anymore, Thomas interjected. Now leave before you embarrass yourself more. David stood there, that same blank look he got when things didn't go his way. Then he muttered something and left. You still have my number, he said to me. If you reconsider. When the door shut, Thomas sighed and picked up the remote. He'll be back. They always return when there's something to grab. I believed him. But the next day, it wasn't David who showed up. It was Karen. Alone. The doorbell rang at noon. I was in the garage, helping Thomas sort tools, when we heard it. Told you, he muttered. I expected David. But when I opened the door, Karen stood there, no makeup, oversized sunglasses, holding a tray of food like we were still a family. Hey, Ethan, she said, forcing a smile. I hadn't heard her say my name like that in years. I leaned against the doorframe. Here to pick him up? No, she said. I came by myself. Thomas stepped up, wiping his hands on a rag. Well, look who finally left her throne. Karen forced a laugh. Can I come in? Thomas opened the door but stayed silent. I walked to the kitchen, waiting for her performance. She followed and set the tray on the counter. I made your favorite casserole, she said. Thought you might miss home cooking. I stared at it like it was a prop. You haven't cooked for me in years, I said. She hesitated. I'm trying, Ethan. Trying what? To erase the past? I know David hurt you. He shouldn't have said that. He didn't say it to me. He said it about me. To you. And you laughed. She went quiet, searching for a script. She glanced at Thomas, but he just sipped his coffee, ignoring her. I didn't mean it like that, she said finally. I crossed my arms. Then what did you mean? She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. If it wasn't for Thomas, I'd still be there thinking I was the issue. You were never the issue, she said quickly. David's just stressed. There it is, Thomas muttered. The same tired excuse. Karen turned to him. You think I don't know who he is? I've been married to him for 30 years. He's still my husband, but I'm not blind. Silence. Then she spoke again, quieter. He really thought you'd still give him the car. He's been browsing models online. I said nothing. He's upset now, but he'll move on. Why are you really here? I asked. She blinked. If this is just damage control, take your casserole and leave. She flinched like I'd struck her, then her facade cracked, and for the first time in years, I saw real emotion. He's falling apart, Ethan, she said. Thomas telling him you'd get the inheritance. It broke him. You know how he is. That's why you're here, Thomas said. Not for him, for yourself. She didn't deny it. I just don't want this family to collapse. I laughed. It was never whole. She stood there a moment longer, then left, leaving the casserole behind. After she was gone, Thomas and I sat in silence. Then he said something that lingered. She's scared. Because deep down, she knows it's over. Not just the car, everything. That night, David called. I ignored it. But the next day, someone else arrived. Uncle Michael. When I saw Michael's van pull up, I knew something was brewing. He wasn't one for random visits. He lived hours away, hated driving, and always grumbled about fuel costs. He stepped out with 2 coffees, smirking. Heard you stirred up a mess in Rivertown, Thomas chuckled from his workbench. Here to see the wreckage? Nah, Michael said, handing me a coffee. I'm here to help torch it. Michael was David's only brother, and they were opposites. A builder who'd raised 2 kids alone after a divorce. Michael worked hard, never whined, and had always been good to me. He sat down. Let me get this right. You saved for 2 years to buy him a car, and the night before you were going to give it to him, he tells Karen he wishes you didn't exist. I nodded. And she laughed. Another nod. Damn. He muttered. And now he still wants the car? Thomas filled him in. David's text, Karen's casserole act, David's meltdown. Michael leaned forward. Here's the plan. When's the birthday? 3 days, I said. Perfect. You haven't canceled anything yet? No. The car's still on hold. Even better. Michael pulled out his phone. I've got every relative's number. I'll tell them David's party is canceled, and I'll tell them why. Exactly what he said about you. He grinned. People lose their taste for free cake when they hear the host wishes his kid didn't exist. I was stunned. You do that? Ethan, I should have stepped in years ago. I watched that man treat you like garbage while Karen enabled him. Enough's enough. Within an hour, Michael was on the phone. Aunts, cousins, uncles. He didn't soften the truth. By day's end, the party was dead. The only guests David would have were Karen and maybe a wilted balloon. But Michael wasn't finished. You still got the car? Yeah. Good. We're taking it for a drive. Not to him. Just a ride. You're the one who deserves it. He grinned. And on his birthday, the 3 of us will show up, not with a gift, just the car, so he knows what he threw away. I sat back, smiling. This wasn't vengeance. It was the truth finally stepping into the light. And David's big day? It was about to be hollow. The day before David's birthday, we picked up the car. It was a deep silver, shining like a mirror, its engine purring with a force that drew stares as we drove by. The dealer shook my hand, unaware of the chaos this car would ignite. I drove it off the lot with Michael beside me, Thomas trailing in his old pickup. We didn't go home. Instead, we took the scenic route, windows down, music loud, the breeze whipping through our hair. For the first time in years, I felt unburdened. We parked outside David's favorite diner, where he'd often hold court, boasting about accomplishments he never achieved. Michael and I sat by the window, drinking coffee, as passers-by stopped to admire the car. One guy even circled it, nodding in approval. We didn't talk much. There was nothing left to say. By evening, we parked the car at Thomas's place. I stood there, staring at it, thinking how close I'd come to giving it to a man who saw me as a mistake. This car was meant to be his redemption. Now it was proof of his loss. I slept well that night. The next morning, we were up early. Michael brought bagels. Thomas brewed his famously awful coffee. At 10 a.m., we left, Michael in Thomas's truck, me driving the silver beast. We didn't call ahead, didn't knock. Just pulled up to David's house, engines rumbling like a challenge. David stepped outside first, in a flashy shirt, like today was still his day. Then he saw the car. His jaw dropped. You actually got it, he said, voice shaky. You bought the car. I nodded, but didn't offer anything. He reached out, expecting keys. You're not giving it to me, he realized. Thomas stepped forward. No, David. It was never yours. David looked around, confused. No relatives, no party, just Karen peeking through the blinds, unsure what to do. Then he noticed Michael. You told them not to come. Michael crossed his arms. Damn right. And I told them why. David's face twisted anger, shame, then rage. You think humiliating me makes you a man? I finally spoke. I'm not trying to be anything. I'm just done acting like you deserve anything from me. For a moment, he just stood there. Then he stormed inside, slamming the door so hard the window shook. Thomas clapped my shoulder. Now let's take this car for a real ride. We left, the engines roar drowning out whatever shouts followed. The next morning, silence. No calls, no texts, just the car gleaming in Thomas's driveway untouched. I kept staring at it, waiting for regret that never came. That afternoon, I told Thomas the first needed one last drive. He nodded. Leave the past where it belongs. I drove for hours. Backroads, freeways, no destination. As the sun set, I ended up at the old dirt lot where David once taught me to drive. It was overgrown now, abandoned, like his lessons. I parked the car in the middle, cut the engine, and sat there. For the first time, it didn't feel like his dream car. Or mine. It felt like a weight. I pulled an envelope from the glove box. Inside, the car's paperwork and a note. Not for David. For someone who truly needed a new beginning. A local charity supported teens aging out of foster care. They'd find a worthy owner. I left the envelope on the seat, locked the car, and dropped the keys in the charity's after-hours box. Then I walked home, 5 miles under the stars, lighter than I'd ever felt. The next morning, 2 messages waited. 1. From the charity. Thank you, you've changed a life. 2. From David, a voicemail. So you gave it away to a stranger. Hope it makes you feel important. When Thomas is gone, you'll have no one. I deleted it without hesitation. Because here's the truth David will never grasp. Being alone is better than being surrounded by people who make you wish you were. And for the first time, I was free.